We are having an absolutely stunning, beautiful Thanksgiving here. There are birds flying overhead everywhere, and Chips and I have left the land of snow and come out to the beautiful land of birds and crows and golden colors on the leaves still. There's a nuthatch coming down to eat some of the homemade vegan sweet that has been prepared by some of the family members. And we have so much delicious food cooking inside. It's so wonderful to be here. Now that we're home again, that means it's time to restock the bread. So I'm making some of the rosemary. I just call this rosemary focaccia because I can never pronounce focaccia. But we're making some more of this to eat with our baked tofu. We actually make it so often now that this entire container, we've swapped beans out for rosemary. So this is all rosemary. I'm gonna crush it up inside of this mortar and pestle, mix it with a little bit of Himalayan sea salt, some olive oil, and these yeasty boys who are ready to rise. Right over here for the rosemary focaccia, there we go. And then it is time to put the sandwich bread in. For the record, you want to add salt to your bread because I made sandwich bread last night. I forgot to put salt in. It is the worst thing I have ever tasted. Definitely remember to add the salt. And this is always the fun part. There we go. So now we knead the dough for a couple minutes, and then we are going to put the rosemary focaccia back in the bowl with some olive oil and leave it to rise for 2 hours. Okay, now I can sit down. Both of the breads have either been baked or are baking. Laundry is being done. I have just taken out the recycling. I have already, let's see, did laundry, did dishes, did 2 baking of breads, and I still need to make dinner in a little bit. Laundry's finished. I just baked up a fresh episode of Niche, the Cookie Tree Tribe, and basically I'm back home. So I'm settling in back at home, and I want to settle into vlogging again, hopefully regularly for the first time ever, because I have been reading a fascinating book called Wrapped, and it is all about how we use our attention and focus in order to create our own realities, and how our perceived reality is actually the only reality that we have access to. So if we can alter what we perceive about our reality, then we do have the strength to create a very fulfilling and very happy life. And that has to do with where we direct our attention and who and what gets to capture our attention. So what does that have to do with vlogging? Well, in the book, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, who is one of the best, foremost researchers on flow, he is a fantastic researcher on creativity and the mind and happiness and positive psychology. He really is considered by some to be like the biggest contributor and kind of the father of a lot of philosophies in positive psychology. He is interviewed in this book, and he points out that people who say that they don't have time to do something usually just mean they don't have the discipline to be focused to do something. So I was reading that in bed last night, and it was like a kick in the rump to actually go, you know, I've wanted to try vlogging more regularly for a long time, just to capture little snapshots of my life, to capture who I am now, to capture my growth, because I think that that would be a beautiful experience for me. It would create a very challenging way to try to interact with my life, not to make it entertaining, but to make it part of a story, to make each little vlog a snippet of a story of my life that is kind of written and, well, recorded in this regards for myself, and to share with people who might get a spark of an idea or inspiration from it. So that's why I want to do regular vlogging again, and that is the kick in the rump that I got last night to go, I'm not going to be good at it at first, so apologies guys ahead of time if I'm completely rambling. This isn't for entertainment, it is actually just to try to kind of make like art canvases of my day and share the joy that I have had in my life experiences, and to capture them in a way that will hopefully sustain more of the memories than relying on this Swiss cheese up here, which is a terrible instrument for memory keeping, I have found. So I'm hoping making these videos will inspire some of you, will motivate some of you, and for the most part will just capture the color of my life so that I can look back one day and say, oh yeah, I remember when you were snuggling with the rowlet while the house smelled like rosemary because I topped that focaccia, there we go, that focaccia bread with rosemary. It's one of Chips's favorite ways to eat it. So yeah, I hope these will capture the colors of the stories of my life, and that's what I want out of this vlog channel. It'll be all over the place while I learn how to regularly vlog and how to share my life with you guys and myself, and you know, share it with my future self, so share it with my current self. When you sit down to do a project like this, like making a little vlog, you kind of look around yourself and you think, wait, how would I do that? And I feel like that immediately makes you more engaged with your life. That's why I actually have a fun time watching people take pictures and selfies or Instagram their food. I mean, by trying to examine a common situation like their reflection or the food they're about to eat, or maybe the picture of the bird outside, in a new way through a lens, they're interacting with it more than if you just glance and move on. So I actually think that's a really cool thing, but that's a whole nother kettle of fish to talk about another day. What I wanted to say was there is the main point of what these vlogs are going to be about. I want to capture the colors of the stories of my day, mostly to be able to interact with my life on an even deeper level and consistently keep at the top of my mind the reminder that I want to see progress in the things of my life. I want to see progress on the things that mean so much to my heart, and being accountable by vlogging that progress, whatever it may be about, is a great way to do that. So hey, maybe some of you guys will start vlog channels, which would be awesome because I have like nobody to follow anymore for just like casual, relaxed, happy people vlogs. There's like nobody posting anymore, so I would love if maybe some of you guys got into it just to share the progress and the colors and the stories that we all have in our lives. So there's like the finally I did it. Finally I just said, here's what I want out of life. So that's wonderful. I'm gonna have a little sip of peach tea. These are gonna be really chill vlogs, I think, because anything more complicated on editing would make it a little bit too hard to keep up with this project and all of the other things I need to do for the main channel, as well as things that I'm doing in life right now. But I thought I would just tell you guys a little bit about Thanksgiving, since I introduced you to my messy kitchen and baking, and had a great Thanksgiving last week. I would tell you a little bit about my feast day, which is what I call Thanksgiving, because we don't celebrate it in any traditional way. I mean, the whole meal was vegan for beginners. We didn't even have a tofurkey, I promise. But we had a great time, and I had a great time returning to North Carolina, so that was really fun. So I thought I'd tell you a little bit about that, and then share some of my joy moments. Share some of my joy moments out of my joy journal from that trip, because that was a really beautiful trip. We left the cold and snowy reaches of Michigan, which you guys will have seen a little snippet of Patches yesterday. That was so sad. I look out the window first thing in the morning and Patches is clinging to his little branch as the snowy wind comes whipping by, and he was just squeezing his eyes shut. I threw out a lot of bird seed because I was like, oh Patches, I'm so sorry. Chip says you can't come in the house, so you have to just eat this and get fatter and warmer. So yeah, I fed the squirrel. It's very cold and snowy here in Michigan, and last year that would have really made me sad because of my seasonal affective disorder, but I really feel like the balance on focusing on color and story and making a story and searching for color every day of my life is fighting back the seasonal affective disorder better than it ever has. And trips down south help too. So we popped down to North Carolina, beautiful, golden, red hues. The trees are at peak leaf, as they say. I didn't know what peak leaf meant until I moved to the East Coast, where there are groups called leafers. Professional touring groups, basically, mostly of old people from Florida, who come up the coast and follow the leaves as the season changes. I get why they do that after living in the Appalachian Mountains in Boone with Chips those first few years, and going back to visit North Carolina again and seeing the beautiful backyard that he grew up in, filled with gold and yellow and just shots of this vibrant lime green that would just peek through all of those colors, and all the birds are there. So I took so many pictures of birds. It was fantastic. I have a birding buddy now. One of the partners of one of Chips's family members is now really into birding as well, so we get to sit and geek about birds, and everybody laughs because one person's sitting there with binoculars, other person is sitting there with their birding camera, and we're both like constantly checking things off on this eBird list that he actually hooked me onto this visit from Cornell Lab. I'll show it to you guys another day, but it was wonderful. We went down and I took a lot of pictures of birds. I saw the feast day bluebird again. Last year I actually got to see a beautiful, stunning bluebird, and I took a great picture of it that I'm very proud about. And this year I got to see a bluebird with a female bluebird. So the eastern bluebird, which the first time I had ever seen a bluebird was last year on Thanksgiving. And this year, sure enough, on Thanksgiving, almost to the hour, because I accidentally scrolled back on my SD card, and like one of the first pictures was of that bluebird on the new SD card, and it was only like 45 minutes apart, a year apart. So a year and 45 minutes apart, I took a picture of what's probably not the exact same bluebird, but a beautiful male bluebird again, with a female bluebird nearby. And it wasn't as good as the one last year, I think, but I loved it. That's not the point. That it's even better than the year before is not the point. The point is I have a new tradition to find the feast day bluebird. And I did, and it was beautiful. And we saw so many hawks. I saw 2 red-tailed hawks, and they were just posing as always in the trees all around the house. They seem to just know when I'm there, I guess, and they show up and pose just gorgeous with those striking lines and feathers that they have. Can you tell I have evolved into being a birder over the last little while? I am now obsessed with the style and the colors, even the wren. That's one of the things that I loved about this trip too. I've become so much more comfortable with the family, and I love hearing my name called out, and they'll be like, "It's the wren again," because the Carolina wren, or any of the wren varieties, are my favorite birds. No offense, my beloved Goldien finches, because they're small and brown, but when they sing, their voice carries so much further than you would think, and they are the most inquisitive of any of the like bird species I have ever seen here in the wild in North America. They turn over every leaf. They search behind every little nook. So I feel like the small brown wren, whose voice reaches much further than you would think their tiny little bodies, their tiny stout little bodies would, who's constantly curious and constantly searching under everything, and is very loyal to their one mate that they have. I kind of feel like that's me, right? If I had to be a bird, I would say I'm probably a wren, and that's why. So now whenever I'm in the house, I'll hear my name called out and they'll be like, "The wren's on the deck," and I just think that's so sweet that people who are not birders by any stretch of the means have started calling me to come see the wren. So that's kind of what our Thanksgiving was like in terms of birds. I'll show you guys lots of pictures if I haven't already. But I could go on and on and on about how much I love birding. I don't think I got terribly much video, but I'll kind of compile whatever I did at the end of the vlog so you guys can see what birds I did get on video. I love seeing their movements as well. As a former biology student who has been derailed by becoming a YouTuber and a pixel biologist instead, you can imagine studying the behavioral movements and what the animals are actually doing is one of the most thrilling things for me me, so I love trying to capture as much video as I can of them. Anyway, I am going on so much longer about birds than I thought I would, and I'm trying to keep these vlogs kind of short and sweet, so that you and I can all get onwards with making creative, rich, involved lives that challenge us in happy and appropriate ways, and I'll talk more about that later. You can say that I'm definitely feeling Cheeks and Sky is definitely feeling his motivation, but I love his work and I will share much of it with you guys soon. And that was the rosemary. I can't believe it. It needs to come out of the oven. 1 second. Okay, if the bread has come out of the oven, that means I need to get a move on. So we're going to probably have to save what does an entire family of vegans eat for Thanksgiving for another day. But I will say that the highlights from the Thanksgiving Day feast this year was definitely, for me, the brie and the baked brie. Homemade vegan cheese made by the birder, who I am really impressed at the hobbies that this person picks up. But they made homemade vegan brie. I had never had normal brie before. Pretty much before I went vegan, the only cheese I was familiar with was American on, like, you know, grilled cheese and cheddar occasionally, and some Parmesan when I went to, you know, Olive Garden or something. So I was not much of a cheese connoisseur, despite the fact that I loved cheese. Now that I'm vegan, you kind of like have a whole array of exotic cheeses you can eat, and I am definitely falling in love with the idea of making my own vegan cheese, because that homemade brie, out of everything we had, especially the baked brie, it's where you take the cheese and you put a layer of jam on top. It was apricot jam in this occasion. You wrap it with a pastry and you bake it, and it was so good. It is my new favorite thing. I want that for my birthday cake. Forget all of the sweet nonsense. I'm much more of a savory sweet sort of person. So yeah, the baked brie was definitely my favorite thing that we had in Thanksgiving. The grasshopper pie, which at first we were worried about, because it's like, what the heck is a grasshopper pie? Turns out it is a chocolate cookie crust with mint pie, covered with a drizzle of chocolate and lined with coconut homemade whipped cream. Wow, that was amazing. So grasshopper pie, baked brie, and if I have to think about maybe one more thing that was my absolute favorite at the dinner, I think the answer would be the green bean casserole, which was made especially for me this year because my family was very plain growing up. We had a turkey, we had rolls, we had mashed taters out of a box, and we had like green bean casserole. So for me, none of those things really are like hallmarks other than the rolls, but I wanted a green bean casserole because it reminds me of growing up and having Thanksgiving with my family. So this year they made a vegan, homemade, like from scratch with the mushroom gravy and everything, green bean casserole. Oh my gosh, it was so good. Holy cow. I'm gonna have to get some of those recipes and like make them for you guys because they were fantastic. But we had a ton of food is the bottom line of the vegan Thanksgiving. I'm trying to make these vlogs fast and short so that we can just capture some of the things that go on in my day. And I want to share more joy moments and more of my little treasures with you guys during these vlogs because I really feel strongly about joy journaling. I'm going to be making another vlog at some point in the future, near future, talking about some of my revelations with why I can joy journal as often as I can, why I think it is so important, and how everything you see that is good and happy and just positive in my life started from joy journaling when I was a reclusive hermit who had lived in her basement for 2 years and left the house 7 times. So I started as low as you could probably go. Tens of thousands of dollars in debt, over 300 pounds, hadn't left the house more than 7 times in 2 years, basically just lived in my bedroom with the cat. And now I'm here, and I think it all began with joy journaling and putting my focus into somewhere other than inside my head. So I'll tell you guys more about how I think I transformed my life from that to who I am now and who people see me as a super happy person because of joy journaling in the future. But because I feel it's so important, I do want to try to just casually share some more of my joy moments with you guys. This is the journal that I'm using right now. It is a little owl journal that was actually given to me by one of Chips's sisters for Christmas last year, which was very sweet. Because it's kind of like autumn colored, I saved it until now. So This is the one, it's already, how full is this? It's already about here, and I started it, when did I start this one? On the 24th of October, so it has been a little over a month, which is actually a slower pace than usual for me. But if I can find that much joy in a little over a month, I promise you guys I will try to show you tips and tricks. Like seriously, it's just about paying attention to things. That will help you find enough joy to write down too if you want to fill up joy journals like that. I also fill it up with all sorts of stickers. I fill it up with all sorts of little notes and receipts and washi tape. I love playing with my joy journal and making it a real collage. But for our trip, oh, here we go. So I'm gonna see if I can find just a few quick joy moments to share with you guys from our trip. But I actually drew the mountains that we had. I don't think it'll focus, which is probably okay, because who knows what I have written in here. But anyway, I drew the mountains that I saw for our trip to North Carolina, and the way that the beautiful green mountains I could see from the plane were topped in little patches with snow from the first few snowfalls that had come down through the area. That was amazing. So the Blue Ridge Mountains seen from above from the plane, looking down and seeing how the lakes would spread out so weird. You think a lake would just be a big oval, like a big circle, and instead they were like a bunch of amoeba just spreading in every direction. I kept looking at the way the lakes were kind of like a starfish, a really long starfish with spindly legs going all over the place. And I kept trying to think of something other than the word amoeba to describe the way the lakes were shaped. That was the only thing that came to mind, but spindly starfish is better. And I just thought that was so beautiful and so amazing to see the lakes from above. Such a rare view. You have to be in a plane at the right time without clouds in the way to be able to see the lakes from that position, and to see how they weren't like a circle. They're like spindly starfish. I thought that was very beautiful, and that became one of my joy moments for that day. Let's see. Oh, and then we also got some delicious vegan pizza the first night we were there. Some little personal pizzas from a place called Mod Pizza that had fig glaze on it. And it's delicious. I don't like figs, so I didn't want anything to do with fig glaze, but it was actually fantastic. So that is in here as a joy moment. One of the cats had a very big day of trying to jump on things and just barely missing for some reason. He's fine, but I wrote down that was actually kind of a joy moment because he gave everybody a lot of laughs, and we all gave him a lot of pets and treats to make up for the fact that he was not the most graceful feline that morning, because he was quite offended that somehow that counter was a little taller than usual. And that was really fun. So that's in here as a joy moment. So you can see I have already jumped from surveying something like an observation of natural landscape as a joy moment. Something active that happened, the cat jumping around or not jumping around and making us all laugh as another joy moment. And then we've also got the food, the delicious food as another joy moment, just right over there. And then I'm looking over things. Oh, a beautiful walk. We had, yeah, feast day bluebird. And then there's just the word baked brie with a million hearts around it. So I really loved that as well. And I got to break out all of my, here's a joy moment that I'm reflecting on right now. I got to use so many of my food-based stickers, like little cakes and little pies, and so many of the stickers that I hadn't had an occasion to just slather all over my journal. But guess what? Feast day was the perfect occasion. So yeah, that's what I've got in here. Is there anything else that really jumps out? That really jumps out? Let me see. Yeah, oh, singing. We made up a song while we were there that I might sing for you guys sometime, based on Good King Winchenstein, or whatever his name is. I'd never heard of that Christmas song before. But Good King Mr. Winchenstove. Okay, yeah, we made up something really fun. So I wrote that down. Those are the kinds of things that can go, just anything can go into a joy journal. But look at how happy I am reflecting on it. And those things would have been so easy to forget. I mean, seriously, think about it. So if you don't take a moment to write down something that you thought was really fascinating about the view from an airplane, by the time you get off the plane, you gotta go get your bag, you gotta get through all the security, you gotta go see your people. It can be very disorienting and you might forget that beautiful view. And because I have it inside my joy journal, I have it forever now. So I really hope I can share more of the colors and more of the stories of my life with you guys, and just build story after story and build an entire library of the things that have gone on in my life and the things that are happening by actually vlogging and doing it shorter. Gosh darn you, Siri, I was gonna make this short again. I'm gonna work on it. If I keep sitting around waiting for the perfect moment, it's not gonna happen. So this was longer than I meant to. I'm aiming for half the time in the future, but I'm really glad I got to share it with you guys, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye guys.